Who are the top wide receivers from this upcoming draft that the Rams should target in rounds 1, 2, and 3? We'll talk about those guys next here on this offseason draft episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. Like, subscribe, and share this video and podcast with all your fellow Rams and football fans out there. We very much appreciate it. Mark, how you doing today, dude?
Hey, pretty good. Rocking and rolling a little bit with an earthquake down here this morning. That was exciting.
I know. How are you, by the way? Are you alive and well? Because I got the alert for anyone who has I guess a Galaxy or an Android. I got the alert of brace and cover massive earthquake notification around whatever time that was, 10 a.m., 11 a.m. And I'm like, holy crap. Nothing happened. I was like, oh, that must have been some false alarm. But apparently, all that was going on in San Diego, right? So you're doing good? Everyone cool?
Oh yeah, it was fine. It was exciting. I've experienced plenty of earthquakes. That's the first one, the biggest one in quite a while though. But I never really felt in danger, is in the middle of a team's call and gave me an excuse to drop off for a little bit.
That's all right. You're just a tough son of a gun. You're ready for everything. And
Yeah, I carried a couple
Okay.
people out of the building just for practice.
Good, man. That's right. You got to get those squats in, dude. Somehow. Shoulder press, too. Everything. But we hope all of you, if anyone of you guys in Southern California or even down in parts of Mexico, I know some of the earthquake hit that region as well. Everyone's doing good. Your building's fine. Your house is fine. Your TV, your shelves, your books, your cats, your dogs, your animals, everyone's okay. So, it's earthquake weather for sure. And hopefully no more after today's episode. But speaking of people who cause earthquakes on the football field, let's talk about some wide receivers who are explosive. And some guys that I really, really like that the Rams could get in rounds 2 or 3 if they have those draft picks available to them. So let's start right here, Mark. Ranking the top wide receivers from 2025 NFL draft class. And we're going to have it not necessarily like 1 through whatever. Going to have them sorted as round 1 worthy, right? Like this is a round 1 worthy selection if the Rams are picking in the first round. They don't trade back or they stay put or even trade up depending on what happens. Round 2, round 3, etc. So let's start with, I think, no doubt about it, the best wide receiver in this draft class. I don't think anyone could argue this, Mark. Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner. Definitely round 1 worthy. And Mark, what are some fun facts about this Heisman winner outside of all the other accolades that he's got going on?
Well, you could go on and on about this guy. Is so accomplished. 6 feet, 188, first team All Big 12 cornerback and wide receiver, Heisman Trophy winner. And, the challenge is going to be you start reading about him. Is he a cornerback first and a wide receiver second? And there's still some discussion about that. You'll talk more about this, I'm sure. Is he a cornerback that you run out there for 10 or 12 plays? Or is he going to just impact the game more as a wide receiver? So we'll have to see. But Lance Zierlein compares him from a wide receiver perspective to Devonta Smith and as a cornerback to Darius Slay. So you're getting both those guys in one player.
Yeah, no crap. And we'll talk about corners another day once I'm done watching more film. But as a wide receiver, Mark, I mean, that should be his primary position. Dude is ridiculous at both, but wide receiver, I think, not only would he make more money long-term playing wide receiver than corner, I just think he can just dictate and dominate the game way more getting the ball in his hands as a wide receiver. But let's get through some of his just incredible accolades visually watching him on film, everyone. Insane catches and ball tracking. I mean, ridiculous, Mark. Ridiculous. Great hands. Everything that's in the vicinity, he's snagging it in. It's filthy. Route running is excellent. I mean, it's so smooth, Mark, that it's almost like, is he running full speed? And then obviously you watch him going against secondary members, DBs, corner safeties, and he just has his fastest gear in and out of his breaks. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. There's no route he can't run, sincerely. The body control with the route running is fantastic, along with the body control of his insane catches. I mean, dude is like Mr. Fantastic, just bending, contorting his body anyhow, shape, or fashion to run a crisp route and to make an insane catch. His release, right when the ball snap is excellent. I mean, it's NFL level, Pro Bowl level, of not even a question. His separation is excellent, obviously, with the route running, everything else. And he's not like, holy crap, Tyreek Hill fast. Clearly not. And there's other guys that are faster than Travis that we'll talk about. But just, again, getting away from people guarding him, whether it's zone or man, it's excellent. Yards after catch is excellent. I mean, definitely when he gets the ball in his hands, he's making people look silly, juking this guy out, breaking this tackle. It's ridiculous. And this guy can play the X, receiver by himself. He can play the F, the slot, or he can play the Z, the opposite outside receiver. And line him up anywhere, he's going to do damage. So, long story short, let's just say there's a dream scenario, Mark, where he slips and falls for whatever reason. Rams should make calls to try and trade up and get him. There's just not even a question. If he gets past the top 5, Rams got a Les Snead, Tony Pastores, Sean McVay, Kevin Demoff, as we all know, all those guys make separate calls to their friends, their colleagues around the league. Pick up the damn phone and see if we can acquire him. Again, that's dream scenario. And that's just as a wide receiver. He's obviously worth it as a corner as well. But, I mean, Mark, he's ridiculous.
Yeah, and, would the Rams make a move like that? They've done crazy stuff before. I don't know if it's in the cards, though, especially not having a second. They'd have to give up so much.
They would.
But let me ask you a question. How do you think he'd compare? Like if he was last year's draft, we had Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, and Rome Odunze. He probably would have went before all 3 of those, don't you think?
In terms of positional value because of his corner play, yes. But as a pure wide receiver, he would be the second, like minimum. I mean, depending on your flavor and what you like in a wide receiver. I think Malik Neighbors is faster, and obviously he had a fantastic rookie campaign. But he's a better wide receiver, I think, coming out of college than Rome Odunze and Marvin Harrison. Seriously.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Seriously. So he's there's always the comparisons. How would he stack up with this class or this class or this class? Of course, but we're going it from last year. I mean, him and Malik, I think, would be the top 2 guys without a question, which is it's crazy, Mark. He's ridiculous. So there's him, a Rams Nation dream scenario. Maybe he falls and Rams trade up. It would be worth it for corner play, and definitely Sean McVay, I know, loves him watching the film for wide receiver. But who's the next guy who I think is round 1 worthy? And you know what? This is somebody who I've seen, friend of the channel, Jake Ellenbogen, talk about. This is a player that I have seen start to, get more buzz. And I was like, all right, you know how it goes. Sometimes people get overhyped. There might be something going on with the player. You're like, okay, let me watch the film. This dude is legit, Mark, as well. Luther Burden, wide receiver from the University of Missouri. This is somebody who I was watching the film and said, wow, he has a lot of quote-unquote wow factor, which makes somebody round 1 worthy in my opinion. So his route running is, I say, good. Could work on that, most definitely. His quickness, excellent. Speed, excellent. His definitely acceleration and all that is excellent as well. Ball tracking or crazy catches, excellent. Body control, excellent as well. Yards after catch, excellent as well, Mark. I mean, the separation, I'd say is good. But, I mean, this is another guy where you just get the ball in his hands, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the elusiveness, be able to make people miss in space. I mean, it's crazy. The explosion. I mean, whatever adjective you want to have for somebody who, played with the quarterback that really wasn't consistent, played in an offense that is obviously more spread out, But this is like we just had to get number 3, Luther Burden, the ball in his hands, and this dude was ridiculous. I mean, Mark, I have a stat here. He led all of Division One with 30 missed tackles as a wide receiver. I mean, the film is absolutely filthy, and I got excited there. What are some fun stats about him before I keep going?
Okay, he's comes in at 6 feet, 206 pounds, 5-star recruit coming out of high school, 4'4", 140. In 2023 was actually his big year stats wise, 9 TDs, 1,212 yards, had a little bit of a drop off. And that was attributed partly to a teammate who stepped up and started getting the rock more. I forget don't have his name in front of me. And the scouts say that against big time SEC competition, a little bit uneven, but they attribute that to kind of like what you suggested, Ian, unsteady quarterback play, maybe as much the cause of that
Yeah.
as anything he did. So, yeah, he's if he's your number 2 guy, still
Yes.
probably not going to slip to 26, but he might be more realistic for the Rams to move up and grab him if they wanted to, I guess.
Yeah, and this is somebody who Sean McVay is also going to love. There's going to be a lot of these players we'll talk about today, Rams Nation, that McVay is going to really enjoy watching, studying them, and he'll be happy to get a lot of these guys that we're going to talk about here today. But continuing before I got excited earlier, apologies, Mark. I mean, the separation is excellent. I mean, this guy is legit. It's one of those players where if he had a quarterback that was consistent, if they schemed him up and made him the focal point 24/7 like they do with Travis and some other players we'll get to, I mean, this dude would have been, first team all, FBS, whatever, All-American, whatever, all those fun, all that stuff. I mean, the dude is absolutely filthy, and I can only imagine all the stuff Sean McVay would like to do with him because they did a lot of gadget plays with him just to get the ball in his hands because the quarterback play wasn't great. I mean, this dude would be A+ in jet sweeps, would be A+ in reverses, would be A+, and even just getting a handoff from the backfield. Just get this dude the ball in his hands, and then obviously the route running, everything else is really good or excellent in a lot of cases as well. Can play the X solo by himself, can play the F, the slot, can play the Z, the other outside receiver. I mean, he's versatile enough to play anywhere. So who knows? Maybe he falls to 26 because some teams may just be foolishly be like, there might be some off the field stuff. And again, I'm not talking about any of that off the field stuff for any player that we'll mention here today or any player we'll mention in any other episode. It's all about what I'm watching on tape. So those are all factors that maybe have him there in the 20s for the Rams to take if Sean McVay really wants him, which I think would be a possibility if, again, off the field stuff for any player is not an issue, right? Because Rams don't like those guys, and that's a fair assumption. Not saying that's with Luther. There's some things about him swirling, but with that, Rams Nation, there's always a bunch of BS about players that make a player fall so a certain team can get them on purpose, right? And it's like we'll talk crap about him so we can get him, or we'll hype up a player we don't like so another team will draft him, and then we get guys that we do want. There's always that stuff. So, dude is legit, Mark. Dude is legit.
Yeah,
So
there have
that's
definitely
him.
been some people cooling on him, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But he's
Yeah.
been kind of going up and down the draft boards over the past couple of months.
Yeah. So again, we'll see what ends up happening with him, but guy is round one worthy in my opinion. But who was another round one worthy wide receiver, Mark? Rams Nation. This is somebody who, again, there was a lot of hype around him. I was like, I got to see it with my own 2 eyes. I ended up really liking this player more than I just thought I would, truthfully. And that is wide receiver from the University of Texas, Matthew Golden, number 2. And this is another player I know Sean McVay is going to love as well. His route running, I think, could definitely use some work. Now, those are things that could be learned and could be, what's the word I want to say? Can be acquired. That skill can be acquired. But there's no doubt about it. The quickness, his burst, his speed is all excellent in my opinion. And there's a lot of passes where Quinn Ewers just underthrew him or missed him. So this dude probably could have been even more productive, could have even had more explosive plays, in my opinion, than what he already had. And, his ball tracking is excellent. His body control, another guy that's moving like Gumby, right? Can contort and make his body form for any angle to get a catch and bring it in. His release, from the snap is excellent. It's so dang good. He's got great quickness. Definitely is fantastic about finding the zone, open areas in between zones, right? Rams Nation, think about how defenders are covering a certain area in zone. He's able to kind of, be savvy and find the open area. Because a lot of times players are like, hey, you get to that spot by the numbers, or you get to that spot by the hash in the middle of the field, or you get to that spot by the sideline, and that's it. Sometimes you got to play a little backyard football style, and you got to find open areas. So he's very, very good at that. And before I continue, Mark, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
Well, he's 5'11", 191, had 4.29 40. So one of the faster guys in this group of prospects. Senior year, 987 yards and 9 TDs. And, he's sharing, there's a pretty good group of wide receivers there. He wasn't the only guy getting the ball. He can play all 3 receiver spots. And, the one thing, and I saw the same thing you did, adjusting to poorly thrown balls and bailing out his quarterback. Yeah, and he also has the ability to step up in big situations. He had a lot of big time catches and big moments for Texas. And I will note that our Fans First Sports Network, as I mentioned in the podcast the other day, we had a running mock draft, and I drafted Matthew Golden at 26. He was the 5th receiver. So the three receivers you talked about and one additional guy went before Matthew Golden. So if the Rams, I'm not sure if he's worthy of the 26th overall pick, but that's who I selected. He's going to be, I just see, I think he's pretty much a surefire, successful NFL receiver from what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be another player Sean McVay really likes. And again, to my point about the route running, there's a lot of things that are good about it, but I think he could definitely be taken up to another level. And it's just the release package. I think the separation that he's able to create with a lot of he does a lot of good head movement stuff, but necessarily the nuances of hip movement and all that. It's good, but it could definitely be taken up to a level where he can be really freaking good. It's not Travis Hunter, holy crap, or even Luther Burden has a wow, holy crap level route running. Does that make sense, everyone? Hopefully that makes sense. Again, I'm not saying his route running isn't good, but definitely that's something that I think could be taken up to a wow factor, like the other guys I said have wowness in their game there. But somebody, could play the X solo. I think it wouldn't be oh my God, he's going to just win a Julio Jones Megatron jump ball stuff. But I definitely think he could win one-on-one. Obviously, I think he would do his most damage playing the Z, the opposite end, or even the F. But he's somebody that could play all 3 spots, in my opinion. But I think would probably do a lot better F slot and Z, the opposite non-solo wide receiver. But somebody who I think is round 1 worthy for sure, Mark.
Yeah, and by the way, Lance Zierlein, I left out, compares him to the Saints wide receiver Chris Olave.
Oh, interesting. I could see that a little bit. I could see that. He's a good receiver. Hopefully his concussion stuff is nothing crazy with him, Olave. But another wide receiver, Rams Nation, who I believe is round 1 worthy. And this is somebody who I think people were hyping up the last couple of seasons as bona fide top 5 pick, right? And, those things when you study tape, those ends up not being true most times. But that is T-Mac from the University of Arizona, or Teteroa McMillan, his full Polynesian name from, his heritage. Apologies if I butchered that first name there. But this is somebody who I believe is round 1 worthy. Mark, what are some fun stats and facts about him?
Well, he's one of the bigger receivers, 6'4", 219. Lance labels him as a possession receiver. I think that might be a little bit unfair. First team All-American. Not that a possession receiver is a mark against you, but I think he's more than that.
Yeah.
He's third in FBS with 1,319 yards, also had 8 TDs. And interesting stat here, information on him. He was the highest ranked recruit to ever sign with the University of Arizona. And he had a bunch of high school teammates that tagged along with him. Like 4 or 5 guys from his high school went to Arizona with him. And Lance compares him. I've seen this comparison a few times, I think just because of the size. They compare him to Drake London.
Yeah, any of the big guys, right? People throw like Mike Evans and all that. And I get all
Right.
that when you have a big boy wide receiver who can move. But what about T-Mac here, as I'll call him? The dude has insane catches. Obviously, he's a bigger frame guy, right? He's very tall. He's got a long wingspan, right, from fingertip to fingertip. His catch radius is really fantastic, excellent because he's a big human. But he has insane catches, great hands. Another dude whose body control is really excellent for being a bigger guy, right? He has a very Mike Evans level body control. And even Drake London, too, has some of that. So I get those comparisons. His release is, I want to say it's average, right? That's something he can definitely work on from the snap, right? To get away from press coverage and all that. But, I mean, guys, the yards after catch is excellent for someone his size. I mean, his speed is fantastic as well. I mean, any like the tight window throws, he's snagging them in, right? A lot of the yards after catch, breaking tackles, running through guys, I think could be better for his size, but it's still pretty dang good in my opinion. And I think just for a big guy, a lot of just the agility and the movement was really, I don't want to say shocking, but really a fun surprise to see. And this is somebody, again, Sean McVay will love because of the catch radius and obviously his route running being good for a bigger guy. Again, those are things that can be improved upon. And this is somebody definitely I know Sean McVay would also like or have serious interest in to be able to get, in our offense. Because think about it, Rams Nation. Before I continue about the other guys, Devontae Adams is on a 2-year deal, but if things don't go well, they'll bail on him after the season, right? Tutu Atwell's on a 1-year deal. So if things don't go well with him, is he going to keep? Are we going to keep re-signing him for $10 million every year? That's very unlikely. And then yes, we have Jordan Whittington. Yes, we have Puka. Yes, we have Xavier Smith. But wide receiver for the long term is a priority with the Rams. So all these guys in round one are definitely on the Rams' radar. There's just no doubt about it. Sean McVay loves offense, right? Van Jefferson in round two, Tutu Atwell in round two, high round two picks as well. So these guys at pick 26 of their round, or even a trade up if McVay really loves them, they're all on the table, Mark.
Yeah, they're going to draft a wide receiver. I'd bet I don't have $1 million. If I did, I might bet it. They're going to draft a wide receiver. And it could. I just don't see them as much as we'd like to see them draft a linebacker or a cornerback. I'm with you, man. Sean McVay is going to go offense in the first round. I'm starting to feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. You know why? Real quick, finishing off my notes on T-Mac here. Another guy that could play the X solo by himself, could play the F, the slot, could play the Z, the other receiver. I mean, he's definitely somebody that's no doubt about it can be interchangeable in all those parts. And I think something that we will get with Devontae Adams that I think that Sean McVay will really love watching T-Mac's tape is the jump ball stuff, red zone, right? Throw that son of a gun up there and let him get it. Back shoulder, true basketball jump ball that Devontae Adams is good at as well with the back shoulder stuff. So, for the long term, this will be somebody that would fit like a glove as well. And he's fast for a big guy. So there's no doubt about it. And again, some off the field stuff that people don't like about him. Apparently, that's been circling the internet, the football internet. Don't care about that in terms of my ranking here. There may be a reason why or why not he slips and falls to the Rams, or why the Rams don't draft him at all and pass on him. So, but definitely no doubt about it. Mark T-Mac is round one worthy. And as we move forward, though, Rams Nation, who is somebody else who I believe is round one worthy? And this came as a surprise as I started to watch tape, and I'm just like, how is this guy not talked about more? And that is Kyle Williams, the wide receiver from the University, or I guess Washington State University. Apologies there, get my words mixed up. I mean, this dude is crazy on film, Mark. Absolutely bonkers. But before I get excited and talk about him more, what are some fun stats and facts about him?
Yeah, he's a guy that, I wouldn't have been aware of him if it weren't for you as well. Not on my radar. 5'11", 190, runs a 4.440, 14 TDs, fourth in the FBS this past year, 1,198 yards. He's a fifth-year senior, so he's got some experience. Can line up anywhere, and he still has that home run hitting potential. And he is from Inglewood, California.
It's perfect, dude. You don't think he would be absolutely ecstatic to come here?
Yeah,
Sheesh.
right. And before I forget, Lance compares him to Marvin Mims for what that's worth.
Yeah, a faster, smaller guy for sure. I get that. I get that. I get it. But Mark, the route running is filthy, filthy, and excellent, and it's ridiculous. The body control, another guy who has just excellent body control. And obviously, he's a smaller, quote unquote, guy, but absolutely excellent. His release from the line of scrimmage when the ball is snapped is excellent. Excellent. And his separation, if he gets any room at all, you give him any, what do you want to call it sometimes? You give him a bubble, right? A little bubble between you, some coaches like to call it. I mean, you're done. He's separating from you. It's ridiculous. You're screwed. Yards after catch is probably the best I had studied in this entire group. I mean, it's ball in his hands and he's running around. You're done. It's over. You're not catching him. And I mean, this is somebody, you want to talk about players that absolutely put on a show at the Senior Bowl. This was one of those players. Rams love Senior Bowl wide receivers. You know who had one of the fastest times at the Senior Bowl, and which led them to drafting this wide receiver? Can you take a guess, Mark, in the last couple of years, or last, I guess, 4 years, I'll say, 5 years?
A wide receiver that the Rams drafted based on Senior Bowl, based on speed?
Based on speed and then just overall good practice. But speed was like a defining thing.
Well, I was going to say Puka, but that's not the case with him, right?
Van Jefferson had the fastest time at the Senior Bowl, and he had a nice Senior Bowl practice, and they took him in round 2. Cooper Kupp had a fantastic day or days at Senior Bowl and had his miles per hour pretty fast compared to his 40 time. We took him in round 3, and obviously Cooper Kupp, Rams legend. This is somebody who had one of the fastest times at the Senior Bowl. He ran over 21 miles per hour, at the Senior Bowl. I mean, this dude is electric, speedster with the excellent route running. And this is somebody who, man, if they just would have force-fed him even more, I mean, he definitely should have and could have been, first team All-American, whatever the proper term is. Again, a 5'11 guy, so I get you're like, oh, this is just another Tutu Atwell. But like I mentioned earlier, somebody who fits that mold, route running, is a master at a college level, Tutu on a 1-year deal. I mean, this is somebody that could come in and replace that for the long term, for years and years to come. And Mark, I mean, his film is ridiculous with the route running stuff. He's round 1 worthy in my opinion. Will he go because he's under 6 foot? Who knows? But there'll be a lot of teams that I feel like will really like him. And if he's there at pick 26, I mean, McVay is going to be very tempted as well to get him. I mean, there's going to be options there at pick 26, Mark.
Yeah, and the Ram fans and the Rams have been looking for this type of player, someone to really add some juice to this offense, and it sounds like this guy fits the bill.
Yeah, it's all these guys in round 1, all could fit with the Rams, all fit schematically, all would do damage once they get full-time roles if they just don't flat out earn it, in training camp. I'd be happy with any of these dudes being selected, truthfully, at pick 26. Again, Travis Hunter, dream scenario. But Luther Burden, Golden, T-Mac, and Kyle Williams here, I think one of them will be available at pick 26. We'll just got to see how the Rams feel about them value-wise and, all that fun stuff. Or if they go quarterback, you never know how things go. Hopefully not, though, but we shall see. But I think now we're going to move on to who is round 2 worthy, in my opinion. And this is a player who I really liked on film, but somebody, or a lot of people, I should say, had as like a no doubt about it should be a round 1 wide receiver. And I could see him being in it, but just based on what I saw, I think round 2 for sure. Round 1, debatable depending on who you ask. But that is wide receiver from the Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka. And that is somebody who, again, would be another, no doubt about it, schematic fit for the Rams. But what are some fun facts and stats about him, Mark?
Yeah, he's a guy that's been going in the first round in most mocks, but like I said, there's so many good receivers, he could get bumped. He's 6'1", 202, 81 catches for 1,011 yards last year, 10 TDs, and he is a team captain for the national champions, so something to be said for that. And they compare him to a Ohio State wide receiver that preceded him, JSN, now with the Seahawks.
Actually, I like that comparison. I actually like that a lot, actually. That's a good one. So let's start with the route running then, right? That JSN, everyone was all, very hyped about him. His route running is very good. I think very, very good. He's got great awareness beating zone coverage. I think that's what really, really stands out to me in terms of the route running. He's not somebody that's like beating you off like speed and crazy agility and all that, but he's just like an incredibly savvy, smart wide receiver in terms of like, hey, I'm just going to get open. And he does that, it seems like all the time against zone coverage for sure. So that's something that's very good. But let's see, his ball tracking, I think, is excellent. When the ball is in his air or in his area in the air, I mean, he's definitely snagging that thing in. It is very, very excellent in my opinion. The body control, I think, is good. There isn't these crazy contorted movements he's doing to make a catch. There isn't this crazy contortion in his route running, and I think it's good. And his release point from the line of scrimmage, I think, is good. Maybe not wow or excellent, but I think it's definitely a lot better than I think even some other people will give him credit I had read around. His yards after the catch, I think, is good. Again, he's not absolutely running away from everybody because I know his 40 time was pretty fast, but I don't think he plays to that speed in my opinion, truthfully. But I just think overall, what an excellent football player, Mark. And somebody who, if the Rams did draft, I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be mad. I would hope maybe it's like a trade back into round 2, and then we have some more picks and we get him and others. I'd feel fantastic if that was the case. So that makes sense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where these top 5, 6 wide receivers, I've seen them go outside of Travis Hunter. I've seen them go in like every which way as far as order goes. I mean, a month ago, McMillan was the second guy off the board. And now I see him late in the first, Egbuka dropping out of the first.
Oh,
so it's going to be crazy.
And let me say this, why another reason McVay will love him. I mean, this dude run blocks really well. I mean, it's really good. So this is obviously wide receivers for the Rams. They're pseudo fullbacks part-time or half the time, right? Think of Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Puka, all lead blocking like a fullback in the hole, wham blocking, trying to crack away defensive ends, crack back blocks. I mean, he definitely would fit that mold. And, again, this would be another wide receiver that would be an easy schematic fit outside of all the route running and just getting open and being the savvy football player, smart wise. And again, he's no slow poke. He's got speed, but I don't think it's this 4.4 something speed, or a little bit faster than that, right, Mark? I'm blanking on it. Apologies, everyone. But he's good.
I don't have that. I don't have the speed. I'll see if I can find it for you.
So be it. But regardless, really damn good football player. I would feel great round 2. Round 1 I wouldn't hate it, but I would rather have the other guys that I mentioned before. But definitely round 2 worthy, in my opinion. Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Egbuka. And then somebody, again, this film was fun to watch for sure. And as we move on, another wide receiver who I believe is round 2 worthy, everyone. And this is one of the Iowa State wide receivers. That is Jaylin Noel, as we have here, number 13 for the Cyclones. I love that mascot name. That's a cool one, Mark. But anyway, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
So he comes in as one of the shorter prospects in this group, 5'10", 194. So he's pretty thick, though. He's not a a scrawny 5'10", good speed, 4.39 in the 40, ninth in the FBS with 1,194 yards receiving, and he was Big 12 co-special teams player of the year. So he obviously has some return capabilities as
Yes.
well.
Yes, he does. And this is somebody who has good ball tracking. I wouldn't say it's excellent, but it's good, right? Where he makes his money as, I mean, the speed and the explosion mark is just absolutely ridiculous. His acceleration, he has another gear where, okay, he starts his, his route running package, and then when he really says, "Oh, I need to turn it on," he has that extra gear where he starts to run away from DBs, and that's a special trait that you could argue could be first round worthy, depending on the scout or a team that you talk to, right? But I love the burst out of his break. Let's say he's doing like an out route. This is somebody where he's just incredibly explosive off that cut. You're like, wow. Again, this is another guy that's got some wowness to his game. But a smaller guy, right? Doesn't have like, super crazy body control. He's not doing crazy contortion to make catches or in his route running. His catch radius is meh. When the ball's in his air, if it's really not on him perfectly, he has a hard time bringing it in. But, that's most wide receivers. It's tough. Only a lot of special guys can be able to do that. But double moves absolutely shreds people, right? Out and ups, slants and goes. Maybe like a digging up or an in and up. Whatever. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then the yards after catch is absolutely filthy as well. But man, oh man, Mark, this another player, Sean McVay, I'm sure would love to have in this offense someone who could fill in that Tutu Atwell role, and I think would do a dang good job with it too, in my opinion. But definitely somebody who's round two worthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the new kickoff return rules would put a strike in his favor as well.
Yep, and then he's got the
returnability.
return. Yeah, that returnability is very, very valuable. I love Jordan Whittington, and I'm still a Jordan Whittington fan. I still think he needs a lot of playing time as well. But hey, more the merrier. We need some guys for punt return for sure. So Jaylin Noel, everyone, that's somebody to keep an eye on. His film was fun to watch for sure. And then we move on to the next kind of wave, round 2/3 worthy, depending on how you want to lean to. I can see this next couple group of players going in round 2. I can easily see them going in round 3, which is probably most likely in my opinion. Again, those don't happen because other players get boosted up for whatever reason, team needs and et cetera, et cetera. But this is a player who I really enjoyed watching his film too, though, Mark, and that is University of Texas Christian wide receiver Jack Bech. What are some fun stats and facts about him? I think you're muted, my friend.
Sorry, I want you guys to all hear me clicking away on the keyboard here. 6'1", 214. Second team All Big 12, 1,034 yards receiving and 9 TDs. And he's the one, or if you heard this story, his brother was killed in that New Orleans attack. So
Yeah, crap.
but he's a guy that, from what I've seen, he reminds me a lot of some recent Rams receivers, just wiggling and powering his way for a few extra yards every time he's getting brought down. I think Ram fans would love this guy. And Lance compares him to Cedric Tillman.
Oh, interesting. All right. I don't hate that comparison. Well, let's start off with Mr. Bech here, RIP to his brother, and another guy who had a nice week at the Senior Bowl, and obviously had the game-winning touchdown there in the physical game that occurred. Good on him for that moment there. And again, RIP to him, his brother, excuse me, and condolences to him and anyone else who lost people in that New Orleans catastrophe, terrorist attack. Crazy, man. Crazy world we live in sometimes. But back to football here about Bech. I mean, the dude has insane catches. Insane. Ball tracking is excellent. His body control is excellent, right? Talk about the contortion to be able to make crazy catches into the route running is excellent. The jump ball stuff, right? Throwing it up, basketball style, is excellent. His contested catch, right, is excellent. Getting smacked around after getting caught, right? He can take the big blows. He's a bigger guy. Is excellent. And he's a powerful yards after catch guy, right, Mark, you had mentioned. get the ball in his hands. He'll bulldoze people. Very Puka Nacua-esque, right? Won't go down on the first guy. Run blocking is excellent as well. Another Rams fit in that regard. Can definitely be somebody that could be the pseudo fullback that we need, right? All right, go block that linebacker on a gap play, run play. Go kick out, block the defensive end outside linebacker on a wham style block for counter or whatever else. Go do this, and that for toss crack. I mean, he definitely fits that mold. He's an excellent run blocker. His route running is so much better than I think people are even giving him credit for when I've kind of read around other people's reports after I'd done my film study. Really, really good against zone. Another guy that just finds the open area, just knows where to get in between defenders to get open. Does not get, pushed around on press coverage or even, in bump and run situations going up against DBs. I mean, this is somebody who is just a powerful wide receiver, Mark, similar to T-Mac. And, again, I like his run blocking so much more. And I think I like his run blocking the best out of all the guys we've talked about thus far. And definitely he just has an it factor to him. He just does.
Right.
Again, maybe the same thing about quarterback play, right? You can talk about, all right, didn't get as much opportunities as maybe you would like, but somebody who can absolutely, I think, play the X, can play the F, can play the Z. And this is another player that I think Sean McVay would definitely love his film, and would want to have in this unit. For the now and for the long term, a wide receiver, but powerful man, and I like him a lot. He's got something about him that could definitely be round 2 worthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's going to be a fan favorite wherever he goes. He's just like he does have that it factor, and you read his profile. It's all about power, breaking tackles, stiff arming, like you see in the picture there. He's going to be successful somewhere. And hey, if it was with the Rams, I think Ram fans would embrace him really quickly.
I mean, everything we're saying is like Puka Nacua, isn't it? Obviously, Puka is now a very polished route runner, but like, you want another Puka Nacua guy? I mean, this is it, right? Obviously, we have Jordan Whittington who fits that mold too, but let's just keep bringing him in. I'm all for that. I'm all for that for sure. So Jack Bech, round 2 or 3 worthy, depending on the flavor and teams like. But he's got something about him. I think he could go in round 2, in my opinion. But somebody who I really enjoy watching his film. Woo! I love the run blocking stuff. You know me, Mark. But somebody else who I think could fit in offense, who I know McVay would probably really enjoy to have here as well, is from the University of Texas, Isaiah Bond. I think depending on who you talk to, he could be round 2 or 3 worthy. And again, I'm aware of the off-the-field chaos that's going on with him, but just purely off film, I think he's round 2 or 3 worthy. But with that said, Mark, what are some fun stats and facts about him?
Well, it's more about the facts than the stats with Isaiah Bond. 5'11", 180, 4.39, 40. He is a high school state sprint champion. And he can play all 3. He can impact a game at all 3 levels. It's all about the speed with him, the ball in his hands. He's electric. And Lance compares him to Jalen Waddle.
Interesting. Okay, I don't hate that. I don't hate that comparison at all. So with this guy, Rams Nation, I mean, it excellent, elite, whatever you want to call it. Excellent acceleration and speed. It's ridiculous. And I think it was even more apparent. And it's noticeable on film, Rams Nation, that he had injured his leg. He had a hamstring injury. And from then on, I think he played through it, and he just was not the same like he was earlier in the year. It was obvious. But another guy who suffered from, again, I'm not trying to crap on Quinn Ewers, the quarterback, and I know he argued that he played hurt through the majority of the year, and that's, very possible and likely. He had some abdominal injury, which, makes it tough to throw. Somebody who, had to work with underthrown passes and inaccurate passes a lot of the time. But Mark, definitely somebody with the route running and all that. I mean, the burst, it's like the speed outs, the speed ins, right? The deep in or dig routes. I mean, it's quick, ridiculous to see just like a boom immediately, right? The acceleration out of some routes. I mean, the speed just pops off on film. ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The yards after catch, right? Another guy get the ball in his hands. All right, see you later. And again, I'm talking pre-hamstring injury that he had played through. It was absolutely insane. Now, the things that I don't really like is the jump ball stuff, not very good. Contested catch and stuff, it would be average, below average. And I say not very good, like average, right? The catch radius, the body control, and all that, it's about average for him. But again, this is just a pure speed guy who, again, you can work his route running up to even have that more polished, and he can definitely be somebody that fits in that 2-2 Atwell role for sure, right? Ball in his hands, speedster, can work on the route running. So depending on your flavor, right? Do teams really value that speed? Round 2. But I think if I had to choose, round 3 worthy a little bit more. And again, this is purely based off film. It has nothing to do with this off the field chaos that's been going on. And this is somebody that the Rams did meet with in the last couple of weeks. So Sean McVay has been watching, probably has interest in him, and they probably feel like, hey, we can get him maybe in late round 3 or later and add him to the group. But again, I'm aware of the off the field chaos that's going on with him. So who knows if he'll be drafted at all if things go in the negative way what's going on with him. But
and with him and Golden,
right? That's how we gotta do it.
Yeah. And with him and Golden, there's also that Sarkisian factor. I'm not sure how much that weighs, but those guys are kind of connected. I mean, he's got to like the player, but if he likes the player, the fact that he's got that Steve Sarkisian connection kind of puts a little bit more weight. It increases the chances that they may go that way.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. And I did, again, pre-hamstring injury. He was looking a little bit better than Matthew Golden, in my opinion. And then, obviously, injured Matthew Golden started to really play well the second half of the season overall. But Isaiah Bond, if everything checks out, I think round 3, getting him, I would not be mad if all the off-the-field stuff is all good and dandy. But who's another round 2 / round 3 worthy wide receiver I think the Rams would, should have some good interest in? That is wide receiver from the University of Mississippi, or Ole Miss, Tre Harris. What are some fun facts and stats about him, Mark?
Yeah, he's a guy that I've kind of latched onto recently. I think I've mocked him to the Rams a couple of times, not in the first round, obviously, trading back into the second or in the third.
Yeah.
But he's a 6'2", 205, and there's the measurements of the prime Ram receivers of the last few years, right in that wheelhouse, 6'2", 205, runs a 4.54. He was second team All AP and had 60 catches for 1,030 yards despite missing 5 games, played in 8 games, missed 5 with a lower body injury. And Lance compares him to Alec Pierce.
Oh, interesting. The speedster from the Colts, huh? Okay, I'm not mad
I
about
can't
that
say
one.
much about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. But with him, Rams Nation, someone who has definitely got great catching ability, right? The ball tracking in the air, I think, is excellent. He's got good / excellent, body control, right? Contorting your body to make a crazy catch, contorting your body to be able to run some good, nice routes, right? The jump ball, pretty good. Contested catches, pretty dang good too. And then the catch radius, right? Being able to snag some that are maybe out of the area, make a crazy catch, I think is very, very good as well. A strong player, in my opinion. It could use a little bit more of that strength and dominate a little bit better. But I think what aids him in that is that I think he's somebody you just want to get the balls in his hands, right? The yards after catch is excellent, in my opinion. Somebody who I think could have some return ability, right? Somebody who has that in his back pocket, I believe. And depending on who you talk to, depending on what your flavor is, right? Round 2, round 3, I think Rams would have some good interest in. And, run blocking is average. And there's definitely a lot of things with his route running overall he can work on. But again, those things are teachable and those things could be corrected. So again, yards after catch, all the catching and all the different aspects I mentioned a couple minutes ago are excellent in my opinion. So, hey, I'm definitely down for a round 3 pick with him and then be able to get him, acclimated to NFL route running and the NFL route tree. And I think this is somebody who could be an impact player and a good football player for the Rams for sure. But yep. Oh, baby Rams Nation. There's a lot of good wide receivers. So as we veer into the next wave of wide receivers, these are guys who I think are for sure round 3 worthy. Could be round 4. Again, other players get pushed up into the pantheon of team needs and et cetera, et cetera. But this is another player, Mark, who I was unfamiliar with until I started watching film, but I started to really enjoy a lot of his film as well. And that is from the University of Texas Christian, not Jack Bech, but his teammate, Savion Williams. As, again, had some fun watching his tape. So, what are some fun facts and stats about him, Mark?
This is an interesting guy, an interesting athlete. He's 6'4", 222 pounds, still runs a
Yeah.
4.48, and he had 6 rushing TDs, 6 receiving TDs. And the discussion about him is he's the type of player that teams, scouts fall in love with, lands on a team, and they don't know what the heck to do with him. He's
Yeah.
raw. He's going to need a lot of. He's a developmental prospect at the NFL level, and the team that drafts him has to have a plan for him. How they're going to use him. How's he going to fit into an offense? How are they going to get the ball in his hands? Integrate him into an offense, because he's a bit of an enigma, and so that's a challenge with a guy like this. You have to be willing to be a little bit patient, but at the same time, put his skills to use, because he is an incredible athlete. And it kind of makes sense. Lance compares him to Cordell Patterson.
I think that's a fantastic, and I think he's. So I'll get into it. Cordell Patterson, I like that comparison just for the body type and the speed and all that, and the strength and the physical power. Right. This is somebody who get him the damn football. Right, backfield, line him up. But I think he deserves way more credit as a wide receiver than I think all the draft guys are talking about, Mark, after watching film. Because I was like, wow, if this guy had more opportunities, right, with a quarterback that could get the ball more, I mean, he would be a fantastic player, and he would be definitely getting tons of draft hype, in my opinion. So let's start off with the catching. The jump ball stuff is excellent. Throw that son of a gun up there. He's coming down with it. It is elite, excellent. Right? The body control is excellent. Contorting your body to make a crazy catch. His catch radius, if it's anywhere in the vicinity, Mark, he's bringing that son of a gun in. It's absolutely excellent in my opinion. Contested catches, excellent. And then this is where he's a freak of nature too, though, Mark. I mean, his speed is good. He's another powerful wide receiver, similar to his teammate Jack Bech. I mean, what a crazy duo that is, just thinking about it now, talking through it, Mark. Powerful dudes. Great acceleration. He has really good, and this is what we'll get into the route running here. He deserves a lot of credit on this. He's got really good deceleration, slowing down to get open on some of his routes, right? He still needs some work, but I don't think it's nearly as like raw and not good like a lot of, draft guys are saying, in my opinion. But he's powerful running routes, right, Mark? You cannot jam him. You cannot, be rough with him when he's running a route. I mean, he's definitely like, he's like, sorry, you're not getting me. And then the main thing is getting the ball in his hands. Another guy bulldozing dudes after yards after catch, like his teammate Bech. This guy is raw, but he's got such physical presence. He's another guy he's got it to him. He's got something with him. And I'm down to take him in round 3 because you can get the kick return stuff. You can get some punt return stuff, right? Like Cordell Patterson. And then I think if you can get him with our wide receiver coach and Sean McVay and everyone else in that Rams offensive side of the building and get him to learn, get that route running crispy, this would be a dangerous player who could, I believe, also do a lot of the run blocking stuff. Not as great as his teammate Bech, but I like this film a lot more than I ever thought I ever would, just going in blind. And round 3 worthy, in my opinion, for sure, Mark. Savion Williams.
So you see him fitting in, we bring back the jet sweep. Would he be good for that?
Oh, all that stuff, man. I mean, this is another Rams wide receiver that could fit. I mean, all these guys we've talked about fit the mold so well. You can say, come on, Ian, but we have such a specific lane. McVay does a pretty good job, in my opinion, of utilizing skill players' skill sets. when he actually wants to play them, a la Tutu Atwell and others in the past. But he just fits. I don't look at it. If a team doesn't draft him in round 3, I mean, I'd be shocked. Sincerely, he just has too much of an it factor with him. Hand the ball off, just get the ball in his hands type guy. Like I really liked this player for round 3.
And that must have been a nightmare for cornerbacks going up against TCU, those two guys.
Yeah, and again, if they would have had better quarterback play and a better offensive as a whole, I mean, they could have been really deadly in my opinion. So there you go, Rams Nation. That was somebody who I enjoyed, who I think is round 3 worthy. But as we move on here, Rams Nation, who was another player I believe is round 3 worthy, and that would be from Virginia Tech, Jaylin Lane. And man, oh man, that's another player who I just had no idea about, but I really enjoyed watching his film and seeing what he can do on the football field. So what are some fun facts and stats about him, Mark?
Well, he's 5'10", 191, pretty good speed, 4.34. They call him a versatile slot option guy with some long speed. Kind of confused on the stats here. I don't know much about his team, but he led the team with 38 receptions and 466 yards. Maybe they had a wicked ground attack there. I'm guessing, but yeah.
Well, Tootin, another guy we really like.
Right,
I mean,
right.
They were cranking the football on the ground with him, but so yeah.
Yeah, and he has return capability as well, kick returning and punt returning.
Yep, yes, he does. And with another Jaylin, right? Jaylin Lane from Virginia Tech, a speedster, right? His speed is excellent. Definitely has the wow, when he gets the ball in his hands, right? The yards after catch. He has a lane to be able to split some safeties and outrun guys. I mean, forget about it. He's going 90 to the house, right? He's got a nice release, more than I thought it would after watching some tape. Can you jam him, right, and get him caught up? Yes. But if he gets a release and he's able to get around you, I mean, he's got great quickness, when he's trying to get jammed up at the point of attack. But he's excellent with double moves, smokes people in that. He's got a really good route running, overall package, right? I really like some of his body control. I really like the footwork with his route running, and obviously the speed on top of that. This would be another player that could fit that Tutu Atwell role really, really well, in my opinion. Say if Tutu's season isn't good or he's not brought back for any plethora of reasons, definitely would fit in schematically for that reason, Mark. And round 3 worthy, in my opinion. I get it, smaller quote unquote player, but that deep speed, that yards after catch, and that route running that I really enjoyed. I mean, that makes him very much a round 3 worthy player.
Yeah, McVay's just got to be willing to use guys like that, to run these safeties off and get some stuff open up underneath. While use Tutu Atwell that way, they didn't do that enough. And here's another guy that could definitely do that if McVay's willing to get them the snaps, right?
That's really it. So, again, a player that you would draft for the long term, right? If Tutu is gone, other things don't work out. But I mean, definitely round 3 worthy if he's there, Mark. I'd be happy to have him around for sure. And again, the kick and punt return stuff, that is incredibly valuable, and that should have his draft stock pretty up there in my opinion as well. So another round 3 worthy player, Jaylin Lane. I like this tape. And another round 3 worthy player, another Jalen, but Jalen Royals from Utah State. Another player who I just had no idea about after starting to watch some film, but after watching film, I really enjoyed what I saw from him. So, Mark, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
What do I got for Jalen Royals? He's the guy that's been floating around in the mock drafts, late second, third round for a while. 6 feet 205, runs a 4.42. A senior year had 55 catches for 834 yards and 6 TDs. The scouting report I read on him said that he's not necessarily explosive, but very skilled and instinctive, just a disciplined, fundamentally sound wide receiver.
That's fair. That's fair for sure. And I think he had he had like a kind of fast 40 at his pro day. It was like under 4.4 if I'm not mistaken. If my memory serves me correctly. So again, everyone, the 40 time and how you play physically on the football field are not the same. Puka Nacua hit 21 miles per hour the last couple seasons with the football in his hands running away. He was nowhere near that close in an official 40 time. So when the pads are on and it's go time, people hit different speeds and can hit another gear. So take all this the 40 times with a grain of salt for any of these players. How do they do miles per hour on the football field with pads on, running against opposing players? That's what matters most. So, hey, we'll see what happens with him. But an overall good football player, I believe, Mark. I think a really good package of route running. I think good in everything. I wouldn't say there was a wow factor, other than you can argue some of his double moves. I mean, he got a lot of people on double moves, Mark, right? Out and ups, slanting up, slanting goes, a lot of, curling up. I mean, all the fun stuff that you can think of. He was really good at that. Yards after catch was good, right? He's not running away from every player. He can run away from some, but I definitely think that is something that is valuable for him. And the route running can be worked up. I think that was, again, all the route running for all these players could be continued to work on where they can get, higher levels for sure, for sure. I did really like his, release from the line of scrimmage, right? Fighting press coverage and be able to get open there. I thought he had a really good move set, right? A lot of good footwork there. That was really nice. And then overall, speed was good on film. I liked his acceleration to be able to hit another gear, right? To be able to try to hit his top speed. And then I really liked his deceleration coming out of breaks to slow down and get open and all that stuff. But I really, really think his ball tracking is excellent, right? I'm looking here in my notes. Making the crazy catches with his body control. I mean, that's something that was really, really excellent that teams are going to like as well, right? Remark like, all right, well, that pass wasn't great. Make a crazy catch. Like, think of Puka's crazy catches and doing all that stuff to get his feet in bounds or any of the other wildness you've seen from him. I think those things are excellent for sure. So with that, with all the other route running that's good already, that can be boosted up, and then his 40 time apparently being fast, this is somebody who I think another player Rams would like, Sean McVay would like, and somebody who, if we got in round 3, I'd be happy to have him here for sure, Mark.
Yeah, it seems like a guy that would be, maybe pigeonholed as a complimentary type receiver, but that's okay. We can use one of those.
Yeah, for sure. And again, think about all the other guys who we've gotten in later rounds in years past. I mean, obviously Puka, right? Like, and he explodes. So you never know with these guys. So if there's good things that are going on here, that have good traits, right? And you need bodies in the wide receiver room. We do. We just sincerely do. We play a lot of wide receivers. Think about it. This last season, how many guys we've gone through injury, just the way we play guys, right? All the different spots, blocking. We need just guys to just rotate in, right? I mean, think about it, Mark. We played probably like 6 different receivers who made serious big-time catches and big plays and big games for us this year. So you can say, what about that guy from Utah State? I mean, if he gets drafted, there's a high chance he would play. So with that said, he's more of a ZF, right? Slot, outside receiver. Not solo, but, an outside receiver, not the, win one-on-one, but definitely has a role. And I think, McVay and the Rams would like to have him in the building for sure. But with that, let's go on to another round 3 worthy wide receiver, in my opinion. And this is yet another player who I was just unfamiliar with until I started diving into the film and to the draft class as a whole. And shout out to our homie and Rams Up member, Paul, for shouting this guy out a long time ago, way back when. And Mark had brought that up earlier before we started to record the show here. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's somebody he really, really liked. And that is wide receiver from the University of Maryland, Tai Felton. What are some fun facts and stats about him, Mark?
6'1", 183, runs a 4.37. He was 3rd team All AP, 1st team All Big Ten, 1,124 yards and 9 TDs. And hey, the Rams love these team captains, and he was one of the Terps captains. So the Rams just, I don't know how many team captains they've drafted over the years, but that counts for something in Les Snead's eyes for sure.
Oh, yeah. And this is another speed demon here, Mark. I mean, his speed is excellent. His acceleration to hit another gear is excellent. His deceleration to be able to slow down out of his routes, right? He's hitting the turbo jets, right, Mark? And say he's going to do like a deep comeback or curl route, be able to hit that gear and get defenders to be able to fly away, right? Fly away meaning, they were running full speed to keep up with them, or, oh my God, I got to keep up with them. And then almost like what Tutu Atwell does. Think about those guys where they're hitting full gear and they're able to get those deep out routes because teams are so worried about, keeping up with them. He's excellent in that. His route running is really, really good in my opinion. the burst out of routes, the quickness with his feet to be able to set defenders up. Again, really, really good about those stop routes, those comeback routes. Like Tutu Atwell kills people and is always open on because teams are so afraid of him running by him or running away from him. Excuse me. Really good reading zone too. Another guy that can get open, find the open area, make a great catch. And the yards after catch is absolutely filthy as well. Another player, get the ball in his hands, let him run away from people and forget about it. Makes people miss the agility. And he's really good beating, press coverage too. The quickness, be able to have great feet and get away from the jam, right? But if a defender gets his hands on him, similar like Tutu, then forget about it. He's not releasing great on that. But that's any wide receiver that, is more of a speedster, it seems like, most of the time. But the thing is, he has way too many drop passes, which is why he's probably going to drop down to round 3 or even later if teams really don't like that. Because if he was catching everything that was in his way, I mean, there's no doubt about it, he would be round 2 for sure. For sure, in my opinion. But way too many drop passes for my liking. But because of that, I think he'll definitely be there in round 3, and this would be another player that could fit the Tutu Atwell role. But I think could also be an X, right? The solo receiver. Hey, you're one-on-one, beat that guy. I definitely think he could do that for sure too, Mark. But the drops, way too many open catch drops for my liking, which is why I think that, hey, you got to knock guys for that, which I think he makes him round 3 worthy. But if teams ignore that, I mean, he'll definitely go in round 2 or, depending on how McVay and them feel about him, could draft him then as well if they trade back. But someone whose film is really, really good, but those dang drops bump him down to round 3, Mark.
Yeah, I wonder if it's associated with what Lance talks about in his profile, that he took a heavy load in his senior year, 2024, a high number of targets. I don't know why, but it seems to have been a factor, at least something that Lance noted, that he was just targeted, tons of targets. I don't know if it was a depleted wide receiver core. Maybe it was just too much for him in his defense. Maybe it's tied to that, but it's never good to drop a pass. Though.
I mean, he's talented and good enough to be the feature guy, and they did. They were like, "This guy's fantastic. We're gonna feature him like other players should have been." Right? The TCU guy should have been featured more. Whoever else blanking on my head, in my head right now. You can think of the guys, right? Who's like, man, if he would have got the ball more, he would have been holy crap. And he was definitely somebody where they were not going to do that with. They were like, no, we're going to feature the hell out of you. Yeah. And they did. And, there might have been the pressure of that, whatever Lance had to say there. But if he gets the catching under control, in his grasp, quote unquote, I mean, this dude will be a fantastic, good starting player, in my opinion, in the NFL. So, hey, if he's there in round 3, I think Rams would definitely would take a chance on him. But, guys that have the dropping issue that are super talented, either it gets fixed or it never does, right? So that's the yin and yang of it, and which is why I think he's round 3 worthy. But again, if he did not have dropping issues, no doubt about it, he's a round 2 worthy wide receiver. You can even argue round 1 depending on who you would talk to, right? But yeah, somebody who's a good football player. Just got to hang on to the football, man. And finally, Mark, the last player in the rounds 1, 2, and 3 worthy, group who the Rams should target is a player who I had no idea about either, going in blind watching wide receivers, and that is from the University of Stanford, Elic Ayomanor. If I said his name right, apologies if I did not, as I butcher a lot of the interesting names, the fun names here. But Elic, what are some fun stats about him, Mark?
6'2", 206, second team All-AC, had 63 catches for 831 yards and 6 TDs. He is from Medicine Hat, Alberta. So Peo Time, our Canadian Ram fan, is probably rooting for him. See if the Rams can get him selected. And he's known, aside from, the stuff you're going to share, he is saluted for his work ethic. And that's something that's very important in that Rams wide receiver room, right? If you're a hard worker, you got to be a hard worker or they're not interested.
That's definitely the case with. I mean, the Rams have a great culture. They know who they want. Again, they'll study the hell out of all these guys. Our scouts do a fantastic job. Uh, we hit way more than we miss, and we get very, very good culture guys. So to all that, no doubt about it. But based on film, though, Mark, what a surprisingly good football player this was. Again, somebody who I just had no idea about. A player who suffered from mediocre to average quarterback play. So, again, would have maybe been on a team that had better quarterback play. Probably could have been first team All ACC. Could have been pushing for All American stuff, right? You can say that about a lot of players, about circumstances. But his route running was really, really good, Mark, for a big guy, for a bigger, one of the bigger-esque guys, right? 6'2" and above player. Really good about reading zone coverage. Was fantastic with that. Really good on double moves, which I was surprised about. Really set people up, right? Running those, out and ups, those in and ups, those double, slant ups. I mean, he was really, really good baiting people in for whatever reason. I don't know why people always thought like you couldn't do it, and they just would never fully buy into stopping that, and he would just get them all the time on that. Watching film it's really crazy to watch. Really good decelerating on those stop or comeback routes, right? We talk about. He wasn't somebody that had crazy speed. He's not a speedster, but for whatever reason, man, he was just so good about just slowing down and getting open on those deep comeback or curl routes. Really, really good on that. A stronger wide receiver for sure. With the yards after catch, could run people over. I saw some of that and had a really nice footwork releasing from the line of scrimmage, Mark. I really thought for, again, those bigger guys, he had really good footwork with that. Really good catch radius, too, as some of the footballs that were thrown to him weren't well thrown. And he had some really fantastic catches. Had really good ball tracking, right, where a pass was up there in the air and he had to go and snag it. Really, really good. I would say excellent in that for sure. And I guess the Ram special. He was absolutely excellent in run blocking. Him and Bech from TCU are the two best run blocking guys in this entire draft class by far. I mean, talk about somebody who you want to, again, lead block on gap plays, lead block for a wham block on a DN outside linebacker, crack tosses, whatever. This guy can absolutely do those things and excel at it, in my opinion. So a player, really good route running, really good catch radius, really good run blocking. This is another Rams wide receiver mold that fits really, really well and has that Puka Nacua, esque play style in terms of all those other measures, maybe other than just being super strong and just powerful overall. But, great size, all that stuff. Definitely round 3 worthy, in my opinion, Mark.
Yeah, and he's a guy worth noting. He only has 2 years of college experience, and with an opportunity, some good coaching, he's going to grow. He's going to get better. And
Yeah.
his willingness, his ability to settle and find those open spaces. How many times do we see these receivers just run right into coverage? And Rams receivers have been pretty good at that, at settling, finding those
Yeah.
open spots and zone coverage. And based on what you said, he seems like another guy that can do that.
Absolutely. And this would be another guy would end up being a fan favorite, right? Blocking, all the tough stuff, right? Similar to other guys we talked about earlier. And, those are, again, Rams Nation, these 15 guys that we've gone through today, those are just guys who I think are rounds 1, 2, or 3 worthy. There'll be some other dudes who slip in the draft for whatever reason. Could be some of these guys, too, who are available in rounds 4 and 5 that we get, right? And would be absolute steals, in my opinion, right? A lot of these guys who I said are round 2 or 3 worthy, you can probably bump them down to 3 or 4 or 4 or 5, depending on, again, team needs, depending on, what other teams value, yada, yada, yada. So there's going to be some good football players in this wide receiver class that we talked about here. They're going to be available in rounds 4 and 5, most likely, if the usual goes on. Other players get overdrafted, other players draft for need, or other teams draft for need. So I'm excited. And again, there's tons of other wide receivers who we're not talking about today who are still good football players in general,
Yeah, I would be surprised. I mean, I'm going to guarantee you right now the Rams are going to draft a wide receiver, and I wouldn't be
Oh, yeah.
totally surprised if
100%.
they drafted 2. They could grab one early and come back and grab one of these 5th or 6th round guys as well, because I
Yeah.
think the class is that deep. If they see wide receiver, if they somehow are able to snag one of these guys in the first round, and one of these other prospects that they love is sitting there in the sixth round, they'll take another one.
Oh, absolutely. And again, majority of these guys just fit schematically, in my opinion. Not all perfect for different reasons. They all each have their own unique skill set and all that. But a lot of these guys can be coached up by Coach Yarbs, our wide receiver coach, and they can all improve drastically in the route running, all of them, if they're already not pretty dang good as is. So that's the one thing. You can boost them up if they get drafted by the Rams. Absolutely. And I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of different ways this could go, Mark.
Yeah.
You know, dream scenario, Travis Hunter falls and we trade up. Unlikely, very unlikely, but you never know. And then depending on who's there at, pick 26 or, if the Rams want to go there, does McVay love Matthew Golden? Does he love Luther Burden? Does he love T-Mac? Does he love Kyle Williams, who I think are all round one guys? Or they say, hey, we'll get better value trading back for in round 2 or later to get Egbuka, to get Jaylin Noel, to get, Bech or Bond or Tre Harris or Savion or all these guys that we mentioned. I mean, there's so many different avenues that this could go, and I'm excited to see how that turns out, Mark, Rams Nation.
Yeah, I still think the best route might be trading back, but again, you have to have a partner. And if you can't find a partner, I'm thinking, I don't know if there's a cornerback in that window there around 26 that's going to be worthy. There is certainly going to be a wide receiver. I don't know if there's going to be a linebacker either. Maybe there's a lot of guys that I think fit in that, 35 to 50 range that are good fits for the Rams. But one of these wide receivers could very well one of the guys you talked about as a first round wide receiver is going to be there. One of them's going to be there.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to see what the hell happens with that, Rams Nation. So again, this is ranking the top wide receivers from the 2025 NFL Draft Class, Rams Nation. Not every single one. It's just I don't have enough time to go through everyone. I'm trying. I try my best. But with this, who we thought was round 1 worthy, round 2 worthy, round 3 worthy, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. But let us know in the comment section, Rams Nation, if you're here on YouTube, which wide receiver do you want to see drafted by the Rams in round 1, round 2, and round 3? Or, if Rams should trade back, trade up for somebody. Realistically, of course. We don't dream scenarios like Travis Hunter, like I mentioned earlier. Obviously, that's for fun. Not happening. But
we'll take Travis Hunter in the first. We'll take Matthew Golden in the second.
Yeah. It'll be unstoppable. Matthew Stafford for his final years. That'd be fun. Well, let us know for sure, Rams Nation. And man, oh man, I think the wide receiver class is pretty dang good. And no doubt about it, the Rams are going to get a good wide receiver in, the starting level, draft pick areas, right? Rounds 1, 2, and 3. But Mark, any final thoughts on this little group we talked about today?
Nah, hey man, it's just a lot more fun talking about wide receivers and running backs than it is talking about offensive linemen, isn't it? It's just a lot more exciting.
It's you get the football in their hands and they do damage, they get the yards, they score the touchdowns, they make the crazy catches, the highlight reel stuff. Of course, it's all the glamour. It's a glamour position, and it's it's easier to evaluate in my opinion most times, right? Because it's just, hey, how are they getting open? How do they look with the ball in their hands? Are they doing crazy stuff? It's easier to evaluate, in my opinion, more than some of the trench guys, which could be a pain in the butt, or even the DBs. It's a pain in the butt right now too, me going through some of those guys. But Rams Nation, again, let us know who you think should be drafted by the Rams in rounds 1, 2, or 3. And don't forget, like, subscribe, share this video, share this channel with all your fellow Rams and football fans out there, and this podcast as well. We very much appreciate it. But that'll do it here on this draft off-season episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. And don't forget, everyone, go Rams, baby.